office. Notice filed with the Courier Post on February 16, 2013, and notice filed with the Burlington County Clerk on February 15, 2013. Mr. Sugars, we call the roll, please.
Mr. O'Sullivan?
Here.
Mr. Powell?
Here.
Mr. Pugh?
Present.
Mrs. Sullivan? Present. Mr. Simeon?
Here.
Mr. Weinstein?
Here.
Mrs. Zajac? Mrs. Goldenberg? Here. Mr. Mishler?
Here. As we noticed on the website, the board is going to go into executive session. I expect that to last for approximately, I'll say 45 minutes. And then we'll come back and conduct business and also hold a hearing on the proposed budget. And I have a motion to go into executive, wait, I'm going to read this. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act authorizes Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act authorizes the Board of Education to meet in executive session under certain circumstances, and whereas the Open Public Meeting Act requires that the Board adopt a resolution at a public meeting to go into private session, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education in Moorestown Township that it is necessary to meet in executive session to discuss certain items involving matters concerning negotiations, and specifically negotiations, matters involving anticipated or pending litigation, including matters of attorney-client privilege and specifically attorney-client privilege. Matters involving personnel issues, including but not limited to the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of performance, promotion, or discipline of any public officer, employee, and specifically personnel. Be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential will be made public as soon as feasible. The minutes of the executive session will not be disclosed until the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Further resolved that the Board of Education will return to open session to conduct business at the conclusion of the executive session. May I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Session. I'm going to add something to the agenda, just to kind of change the order. For those people here that want to say something to the board about something other than a budget issue, I want to allow them the time to do that first, and then we'll have the budget hearing during which there will be a period of time for public comment on the budget. So is there anyone here who would like to talk about an issue? Yes, ma'am, up to the microphone, name and address, please.
Carolyn Bogart, 900 Heritage Road, Moorestown. Let me start off that I am a mom of 3 elementary school children, or actually one that will be intending on going to our elementary schools. That's my full-time job. My part-time job, not really, but I am a full-time attorney and working parent. And my concern deals with your issue involving the extended day kindergarten that has been proposed. I must say that I am really thrilled that this program is being introduced into Moorestown, but I do have a lot of questions, and unfortunately it seems that these questions have not even been brought to the surface whatsoever. One of my primary concerns as a working parent is, have there been any considerations whatsoever if this extended day program draws from the existing program that's already in the system? That existing program that I participate in is the Learning Center at Baker School. That provides my children before and after care, plus an extended day enrichment program, not just babysitting. And my concern is that if you draw from an enrollment, presumably these people are people that are paying tuition, your enrollment is probably going to draw from these existing programs, because there's not a whole checks out every week, every month. It's a lot of money, but I do it out because I want my children to have the education. You have a program that you're starting. I understand it's a pilot program. I've spoken in detail to Mrs. Butler, and she's given me a lot of information. This pilot program has, I believe, 22 spots per school, potentially, correct? I know that our current program at Learning Center has a morning program and an afternoon program. My youngest is attending a full-day program at Learning Center right now as a preschooler because I have another child there. It makes sense for me economically and feasibility to pick them all up at the same place. But this lottery system that's been proposed has potentially 22 spots per school. Should my child not make it into one of these lottery spots for next year, my child would presumably be in a half-day kindergarten. What does he do after 11:30 or from the morning for the afternoon? What does he do if your enrollment for this program takes out of the existing programs like Learning Center and the other program I'm blanking as to what it is at Roberts, YMCA? Your enrollment draws from those people that are already paying people, and it pulls it into your program. You've now disincentivized those programs from operating in the schools. What is the incentive for instance, Mrs. Campbell's program to continue to operate at Baker School to provide me before and after care? Provide me extended care if my child doesn't get into that pilot program? What do we do? And this doesn't just affect the kindergartners, it affects the children that are first grade, second grade, third grade. They get dropped off at 7 a.m. They get picked up at 6 o'clock p.m. What do we do with them? I don't know what the contingency plan is if this is where the pilot program is going, and this is the ultimate effect of 1, 2, 3 years down the road, because that's how it affects me. I have 4 years left in the elementary schools from third grade down. A lot of parents have that issue, and I don't believe that the program as it's been presented to the public connects the dots for them. And that's a big concern for me because I don't know whether this was ever considered, and quite frankly, in speaking to a lot of parents, they had no idea. They had no idea, the kindergarten program is a fabulous idea, but they had no idea that it could potentially affect SAC programs at these schools, potentially affect us as working parents. What do we do with our children? Right now, I pay approximately $5,000 for the school year, for my child to go to a program that's already been there. It's been there for 30 years. The school district has had a contract with this program for over 30 years. But I do know that that contract has not been presented to that program for this year. So you want a commitment from me as a parent to sign on to this program to enter a lottery by April 12th. You don't have a curriculum written. You don't have a contingency plan with respect to what to do for before and after school care. You can't tell me whether or not Learning Center is going to definitively be there for next September. I need to make arrangements for my children, and 8 weeks of the summertime to find someone to take care of my child or multiple children is really not enough time. It's crunch time. It's very difficult to do that if I have to find an alternative care for my child. I welcome the whole kindergarten program. I know that Moorestown's in the minority. I saw in Philadelphia Inquirer a couple weeks ago that only 30% of the schools in New Jersey have half-day kindergarten. And I welcome that's going to be eventually occurring, and that's great. But I think that there are a lot of things that need to be ironed out, and unfortunately, I was unable to get any of these answers. I don't know what will happen come the lottery. I don't know whether my child will make it into the lottery. I don't know what will happen if he gets put into a half-day kindergarten and Learning Center ceases to operate because you now have disincentivized them to operate by taking their enrollment. I really would like someone to get back to me on these answers because you're asking me to commit to a $5,000 commitment, but there's no answers.
Can I ask you just one question? There are, because I don't know the answers to all your questions, but I'm curious about, there are 300 some students at Baker School, am I correct? and we're proposing to take 22 of them,
I believe there are two, yeah, I believe it's 22
and
spots.
that, okay.
The kindergarten is less than.
Well, no, they have, that, the Learning Center has access to 300 students, potential customers, and they're gonna lose access to 22.
No, well, not true. Well, here's the problem, is Learning Center, as I understand it, operates a morning and an after school, an after program. So they have a half-day extension for the morning and a half-day extension for the afternoon. I know my child's class only has about 22 children in it for morning and afternoon because I wrote out the Valentines. So I know how many kids are in the class. So basically, you're taking 50% of the Learning Center. Because, let's be realistic, the people that are going to enroll in your program are going to be people that already write the checks. I have talked to numerous parents who thought, oh, that would be great. Wait a second, I have to pay? Forget it. My kid's staying home. I'm not sending it. But those are parents that have never sent their children to a full-day program. They've never signed the checks for daycare. They've never signed the checks for full day. They go maybe an hour here to a nice program that teaches them something, but it's with mom right there. Or it's a quick little drop-off for a half a day. But it's not a full-day program. It's not a $5,000 a year commitment. The other problem I have is you guys have a lottery system, and I understand you're going to offer financial assistance, and that's fabulous. Where is the cap on the number for financial assistance? How many lottery spots are there really open? Is it 15? Is it 20? Is it 10? I don't know how much the option is for my child. I don't know where my child will fall. So, I mean, those are my concerns. I know a lot of other working parents have that concern as well. I would hope that we could have some answers before I have to make a financial commitment either way. Have I sent in my application for this kindergarten program? You betcha. Because I need to make sure that I have all my bases covered. If Learning Center ceases to exist, I need to see if I have an option to get into this kindergarten program. I've also sent it to Learning Center. I have to do all these things, and I wonder if all of these concerns were addressed when this was contemplated. This has a backhanded effect, and it does affect a minority of people in this town with dual working parents whose children need before and after care. And I do have a concern, and I hope that this will be addressed, and I hope I get an answer very shortly to all of these concerns. Thank you.
Mrs. Butler, I know that you've been in touch with Mrs. Butler
I have.
and Mr. Katie put this program together. I'll ask Carol to reach out to you again tomorrow, if possible, against spring break here, to get those answers to those questions. We've thought through many, if not all, of those issues. But if you don't get those from Carol and David, I'm sure you will. Please feel free to come back to
March 8th, I spoke to Mrs. Butler in detail, and she did send me an email, but this addressed not everything that I had in mind, because my larger concern is what happens with the before and after care program if the Learning Center and the other programs are phased out. It could not be addressed. No one knew what to do with it. Now, I do understand, I heard from somebody that I know in South Valley, that some sort of a document was circulated today to certain parents saying that there was going to be before and after care, that they received that.
Would not come from us.
I don't know where it came from, but they apparently were told that there was going to be before and after care if your child got into this extended care kindergarten or not into the extended care kindergarten. I know that Mrs. Butler and I have had discussions that the school district would more than likely have to provide some sort of commitment to before and after care because it's been there for so long. But I need to know what it is. Quite frankly, I am thrilled with what Learning Center has done. It is a tremendous enrichment program for my child. It's a different type of learning than this standard academic, but it's not that they end their day at 11:30 and they go to a babysitting. It's not that. My child can tell me everything in the solar system, etc. I'm learning things that I'm amazed that he's learning at age 5. But that also is an enrichment program. I would like to know what the curriculum is for this kindergarten program. How do I make an educated choice as a parent of a young child? How do I determine what is going to be offered? There's no curriculum written yet. And I understand you have to wait, you don't want to spend the cost, but you're putting a lot of parents at disadvantage.
I'm asking, I guess, Carol, isn't the curriculum the existing curriculum? This is not, doesn't extend the existing curriculum, it only reinforces it, isn't that correct?
And then you have the new reading program.
But
assuming you're not the only one. Possibly we can get maybe some type of Q&A out to parents, maybe do some type of evening forum to answer those types of things. So let me speak to Mrs. Butler and Mr. Tate, and we'll address those concerns. So thank you.
Carol, do you know what that was that was sidelined today?
It wasn't today, but yes, it is now. Comment?
Yeah, please.
At the open houses last week, there was a flyer that was sent out to all the elementary schools, and it did have on there that before and after care would be available. We have been in contact with Ms. Campbell and the YMCA about that, and we are not able to make any decisions until we decide if the pilots are running, which I explained to Ms. Bogart over the phone. But the flyers were handed out last week, they were handed out today, they were handed out during the open houses.
I'm sorry, they were flyers about our kindergarten pilot?
Yes,
That said there would be after, I didn't know that.
yes. I can send you a copy.
Who would be providing that aftercare before care?
I just said we had conversations with the Y and the Learning Center with Mrs. Campbell. We have not been able to make that decision yet until we decide what pilots are running and what pilots are not running.
So there still has been no contract then provided to Mrs. Campbell for that either?
Ms. Sugars, it was informed to me that she gets contracts in June, so they're not late in getting a contract now, so I'm not sure.
I
they're
understand
getting
it comes out in March usually.
Ask Mrs. Sugars. Who does the contract? Ask her. You sit right there, ask her.
Well, I understand Mrs. Campbell has asked repeatedly for this contract and it's not been provided and telephone calls have been unanswered.
She has not contacted me.
Well, she's here to speak, so I'm sure she'll let
We
you know.
generally don't do them that early. There's, usually not any question about the continuation of it. As far as I'm concerned, there's no question about it at this point. March, I'm knee deep in budget. I'm not usually thinking about those contracts until after I get through that process. So, I have not sent those contracts out that early.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board on a non-budget issue? Okay. So the issue, we have to open a public hearing on the proposed budget. So the motion is I recommend the public hearing on the 2013-14 proposed budget be open.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? President votes aye. So now we'll turn to Ron. You wanted to start this off?
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to use my principal voice tonight, my teacher voice, to go through this presentation. I get to do the fun part of this. Talk about the things that are in the budget, things that we're trying to move forward, the initiatives. We won't talk later about the numbers. To me,
Say
that's
the numbers aren't fun.
the boring part. For those of you that don't live and breathe the school budget like we do, this is the basic outline on how a school budget is presented or developed. You look at the needs. Look at class size, instruction, program, facilities, personnel, a whole bunch of things, and I'll go into that in a little bit detail in a second. We then discuss how to best address those needs and look at different solutions. We look at costs. We determine the best course of action to address those needs, and we budget for it. Draft budget goes to the Board of Education, which it did last month. It then goes to the county superintendent, the executive county superintendent, for approval. Our preliminary budget was approved. Tonight, we do the public hearing on the budget, talk about what's in there, what's not in there, if there are changes, and then it used to go in front of the public, the board. They approve the budget tonight. That budget is set tonight with no public vote on the budget anymore. So what do we consider when we develop a budget? We want to improve things, and we want to maintain the quality quality of education that's known for here in Moorestown. All right? But there's much, much more than that broad goal of continuing to be a preeminent educational program. There are a lot of things happening outside of Moorestown that affect what happens with our budget. Now, I've used this 10 years in a row doing a public hearing on a budget. We seem to be at the crossroads all the time in this profession, under the gun. Core content standards, brand new national standards that we will have to align to because our students will be assessed on those standards. PAR, the Partnership for Assessment, Readiness, Career, and College. It's a weird kind of thing, but it's called PAR. Our students now are tested throughout grades 3 through 12. The PARM assessments come in the school year 14-15, and our students will be assessed, but they will be assessed on computers. They will take their assessments on computers. We need to be ready for that. Teach our students the skills to take these PARM assessments. We can teach kids how to write. They can be the best writers in the world, but if we put them in front of a computer, and they don't have the computer skills, all that knowledge and skill base on writing will be lost. So we have to prepare for PARM. EE4&J is the new teacher and principal evaluation system that goes into effect September. We've been working with the teachers and administrators to put together our program and our approach to address EE4&J. That goes into effect to mandate come September, unfunded. We have an obsolete reading program. We're proposing in this budget a brand new reading program. Teachers in the lower grades are piloting that right now. So we're looking to address that. And that's a big amount to put into a budget, but it has to happen because of those other things. Our students will be assessed against other students across the state, and then again across the country because these are national standards. We have technology needs. We have major technology needs. I'm tired of reading in the paper other schools in this area that are doing things that we're not doing. Kids with laptops, teachers with laptops, in competitions, robotics, all these things should be happening here in Moorestown. We should not be lagging behind. We should be leading the way. This budget, I believe, takes us almost where we need to be, but it's a giant step in the right direction. School safety is a major issue, has always been, but of course it's come to light because of the shootings in Connecticut. School safety means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Here in Moorestown, our schools are very safe. Why? Because we do training, we have a great staff, they're very observant. We've tracked down someone that was hunting rodents with his hawk outside UES. We're vigilant. That's a big piece of this. But our schools need to be upgraded as well. They can't be upgraded to where we think they should be in this budget, though we do make some minor steps in the right direction. Buildings and grounds are always an issue. All right? Other school districts are playing on turf fields. We can address that in this budget, but we do make some recommendations on buildings and grounds on how to improve those things. And changing student needs. Changing student needs, and I'll jump on that right here. Who can tell me what's significant about the date, the year 1440? We have teachers. That's not the date of our current time. 1440. Gutenberg invents the printing press. Major change in our civilization across the world. But it wasn't until 1860 that something else then followed the printing press. 1860. Typewriter. 1860 typewriter. So 400 years go by until the next major change in disseminating information, printing information, getting information out to the public. 1937. I was not born in 1937. 1937. The invention of what we now call computers in Japan. 1937. Okay. 1960, saw the major mainframe computers. But if you look at the distance of time, or between those, you have 400 years. Then you have less than 100 years, where information is being rolled out and doubled. Okay? Then less than 30 years. 1986. A lot of things happened in 1986. The web, laptop computers. Okay? So now we're less than 20 years. And now, every 18 months, and that's probably a high estimate, probably more like 6 months, information as we know it doubles. It was 400 years, and now it's 6 months. And Will Rogers said it best, that even if you're on the right track, you're going to get run over if you just sit there. Now, I probably should pick a picture of probably a faster train, but that's the best I can do. All right? We are on the right track, but we are going to get run over, and we are getting run over if we just sit here. So this budget, again, pushes us in the right direction. These are just about all the areas that a school covers. Professional development, parents, program, facilities, data, all these things lead to all students achieving at high levels. I'm going to talk about the ones in yellow tonight. Curriculum and standards. This budget allows us to continue to align with the Common Core Content Standards. Incredibly important. If we don't teach what's on the test, the kids are not going to do well on the test. We need to know what those standards are. We need to have a curriculum aligned, not just to meet the standards, but I go back to that phrase, we want to be a preeminent school district, we need to surpass those standards. So that's what our goal is, aligning with core content standards. It's not enough to every 5 years look at curriculum. Math every 5 years, language arts every 5 years. We look at curriculum every single year because things are moving so quickly and so fast. This budget allows us to do that. I talked about PARC before. There's no computer curriculum K-3. Third graders will be assessed on PARC. If we don't know what we're teaching them, they're not going to do well on that PARC assessment. So that's part of this budget. We're also going to better align K-12 computer instruction for that PARC assessment across the board. And, as I said before, begin a brand new reading series, K-5. Technology is a big piece of this. Our goal going into this budget was that every child touches technology each day, at least once. So this budget allows us to move forward on those tracks, computer instruction, K-12. Laptop carts available for our elementary schools. Those computer teachers will use the carts to move around the classrooms to teach computer skills. We also have labs available in those elementary buildings. We're adding computer labs at UES, WANS, and the high school. Every instructional classroom in the district will be technology ready with a projection device, some type of docking station or computer for teacher use. It's not blackboards anymore. It's not even whiteboards anymore. It's almost not even smartboards anymore. But it's this projection device where teachers use these as they used to use overhead projectors. And I'll date myself, Mr. Mills, film strip projectors and those types of things. Everyone's laughing, when you hear the ding, you would turn the little thing. That's all out the window. We're going to be providing, if this budget is approved tonight, a laptop for every teacher in 7th through 12th grade. They can do their work anywhere. With the availability of these classrooms, they will be able to go throughout anywhere in the district, lock in their computer and do some work, teach from a different classroom. It allows a lot more flexibility. So that's a big jump in the right direction. If we expect our kids to use the technology, our teachers are going to be role models. So with the laptops comes training and professional development. Something I did not put up on here, it's as equally as important as having the laptops, is the infrastructure for our schools. Meaning, this stuff has to work. So a big chunk of money in this budget will allow us to do that, to get our schools to where they should be. Carol uses the term, we want to be Starbucks. We want to walk into a classroom and be able to access the internet wherever. This budget will allow us to do that 7-12 and really look at the lower grades possibly in the next year or so. We're also going to pilot in a grade level one-to-one laptops or some type of devices for our students. So technology puts us on the right track, moving in the right direction.
And Mr. Betts, I think this is, one point I just want to make is that it's driven not for technology's sake, but curriculum is driving the technology.
Yes, it's a great point.
Curriculum committee.
Right. The brand new reading series is technology driven. Go into a kindergarten class where they're piloting this, the kids are up on the smart boards doing all kinds of things. The teacher's there with an iPad doing things. It's all technology driven because of the curriculum. Staffing and personnel, we will have computer teachers, 0.5 in elementary buildings, 1 additional at UES. A director of instructional technology, meaning that we will have a cabinet level position, someone that will do all this stuff and lead the way. It's a huge undertaking. It can't be done by a curriculum person because it's just so big. So we're proposing someone, an additional administrator, to do that and to really set the vision for where we want to go. Carol Butler led a group last week, and it was refreshing. I sat in there for 15-20 minutes to hear what they were doing and then to see the final product. They not only set the vision for technology, but they set the goals as well. That's a huge step in the right direction. Whoever this person is will help lead us into the future. Also, technology assistance and support in all the schools. That stuff has to work. That's a problem right now. We're hoping to fix that. And then there's also additional BSI teacher, basic skills, K-3, because of those changing student needs I talked about before. Program instruction, consistent computer program I talked about before, vision and goals for technology integration throughout the school district, a consistent language arts program, K-12. We're asking that our language arts supervisor look at the curriculum K-12 and not just 7-12 or 9-12. Dr. Sutowski's been working in this structure this school year, and she's working with teachers in the lower grades, middle grades, and the high school to make sure that language arts program is consistent. Mr. Tate and Dr. Costi are working on better aligning our basic skills program to help those needy kids in the lower grades, knowing that if you build that foundation, they're going to have a stronger future. So some of this budget addresses those needs as well. And as was explained before, we are piloting an extended day kindergarten program. The numbers, I'm just going to look right now and getting into the fun part of the program.
All right, so let's talk about some numbers. When we talk about our budget,
So good you have to go through it again.
where was I, right?
That's it.
All right, so budget, let's talk about the numbers. When we talk about school district budgets, we break our budgets down into a couple broad categories. Now, what we usually focus on when we talk about budgets and do our budget presentations is the general fund budget. The general fund budget is sort of the meat and potatoes. It's where we pay for salaries and we pay for buses and utilities and books. 2.9 million in 2012-13 to just over 3 million, 3,036,000 in 2013-14. We also saw a little bump in our debt service aid. We went from 464,465, that's a small increase there. So our total state aid went up slightly, not a whole lot. Unfortunately, what they give, they also take away. The SDA assessment that we have to pay back
bottom line, what does this budget do? It moves us forward, cutting edge reading program, K-5. We address our national standards, greatly improve computer instruction across the district, help prepare our students for taking the park assessments. We're getting our feet wet with an extended day kindergarten program, and we continue to provide a safe and caring environment for our kids and our staff and our parents. The budget protects quality education for the children of the district while moving us, I think, in the right direction, a big step forward. So what's next? Tonight, the board will discuss the budget as presented. They will vote and hopefully approve the budget. Once that's set, we can move forward with planning for next year.
Okay, board questions for Mr. Betts or Mrs. Shivers? Obviously, we've been working on this for months. By the way, I guess we didn't mention that the county has approved our budget. There were some revisions between what we submitted in this budget that we're presenting tonight, but they approved the original budget. And highly confident they'll approve this budget. So, comments from you all? Want to, America? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's dead. Okay.
I'll happily tell you that I'm Laura Rafferty, 219 High Street here in Moorestown. I just had a couple of questions on the more specific numbers that are in this packet that you left out. They're in these smaller groupings that you have, like labeled extracurricular and athletics, guidance, child study team. You're talking about a big investment from a technology standpoint, and are these expenses that you're going to incur, are they spread out among these groupings? Because I see in the general supplies miscellaneous line, for several of them, a large percentage increase.
Some of it is, most of it is in lease purchase dollars, and what happens with the lease purchase dollars is we finance it over 5 years. So a lot of that infrastructure, equipment type purchases is, we borrow funds up ahead and then we pay it back over a 5-year period. So if you look on the first page, where it says lease purchase payments, it's in the first general education category. There's also a couple areas spread throughout the budget where we need to take those payments from. For instance, some of it is in transportation because we're going to purchase some buses, those kinds of things.
So this lease purchase payment, we're going down by 34%,
It is.
even though we're buying all this new stuff.
Yeah, it's a 5-year rolling cycle, so a large payment dropped off that was from 5 years
Right.
ago. And even though we do have another large payment this year, it's not as much.
Okay, so then these large, like 172.7% increase, 150.45, 95.32, on page 2, under general supplies, what are those humongous increase in expenses?
Some of them, for instance, the guidance has to do with some additional software components. The child study team has to do with additional types of assessments that we would do or equipment that we need. I know there's one fairly expensive piece of equipment in that line. Some of the professional development, instructional services and professional development has to do with some of the professional development that we're doing, also with some of the curriculum writing that we're doing for some of the
Wait,
curriculum.
because you have under instructional staff training services, that goes down by 50%.
Yeah, but that's somewhat interchangeable with improvement of instructional services, so
Okay.
if you add those two together, there isn't as much of a significant change.
All right, I'm sorry, I have 2 more questions. Back on page 1 with extracurricular and athletics, it's not a huge difference, but we're going down by $2,500. But want to make sure I heard you right, that's,
Yeah, it's a huge initiative, and
Yes.
it's, for $30 for the average system, it's
Yeah,
really
that's
a nice step in the right direction, so we're very excited by everything.
okay, thanks for answering my questions.
Thank you. Mrs. Apple?
I'm Debbie Applewood, it's Associate Development. This is not my comfort level speaking like this, and I just don't like the fact that this is the way I have to talk to you. I'd much rather be able to talk to you around the table and have a conversation. And one of my questions is, who do you talk to when you make up these budgets? Obviously, you talk among yourselves, but do you talk to members of the community? Because no one has ever spoken to me about things that I think would be in the budget. Now, I know you're our elected representatives, but representative government, talks to their constituents. I'm very disappointed that you're having a budget at 0.46%. The difference, I ran some quick numbers, if you had taken it to cap at 2%, would cost $130 per household, as opposed to $30 per household per year. When you talk to people, do you say, don't worry, your taxes are only going to be raised $30, but we might not have powers for the special ed kids, but don't worry, your taxes are only going to be raised $30, but the computers at Williams take 10 minutes to warm up. Don't worry, your taxes are only going to be raised $30. The first grade will have 27 kids in it. No, that's okay. Don't worry, your taxes are only going to be raised $30, but we have to cut sports at the middle school. Don't worry, your taxes are only going to be raised $30, but we may not be getting the best teachers anymore. I really think you're being very short-sighted, and I would like an answer sometime from some of you who sit here all stone-faced as to who you talk to.
Well, we have a host of people come and talk to us at every one of our board meetings.
Not very many.
I don't know, it seems to take hours. But anytime you want to sit down and talk, you said nobody wants to talk to you, I'm happy to sit down and talk to you.
I'm here.
Who's next? Yes, sir. Tom, if I remember.
I'm sorry?
That's all right. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Tom Scattereggia from 610 Bowling Green here in Moorestown. Just a few comments, if I may. First of all, I'd just like to take a step back. Last time we had an opportunity to converse, I made an intuitive comment about taxes average increase about $100 a year over our lifetime of living in Moorestown for the school budget. I went back and did a little bit of research and did some digging in my files, and I found some tax bills going back 20 years. And interestingly enough, this is probably the first time I've been right since October of 1966, according to my wife. Our average annual increase in our school tax bill from 1993 to 2013 was $145. We've been doing much better. The average increase from 2008 to 2013 was $101. And the average annual increase from 2009 to 2013 came out to $45.75. So I think we're heading in the right direction. And based on the budget that's being proposed tonight, compared to the budget that was presented back on March 12th, I think, we were at about $107 average increase, and now we're down to $39. The challenge that I threw out at that time, I said, you'll meet my expectations when you get to zero. And I'm glad to see that you're heading in that direction. My comments this evening are not particular to tonight's budget, because I think that budget is pretty much cast in stone, and what we see is what we're going to get. as the challenges moving forward. Mr. Betts presented several visions relative to issues that we have to contend with and improve upon. Moving forward into next year's budget and the following year's budget, what do you see as our budgeting professionals as the challenges we as a community are going to face in those years from an expense standpoint? And then, of course, we have to look at it from the standpoint of what are the revenue challenges that we're going to face to meet those opportunities, those issues that Mr. Betts talked about, because I think we're just scratching the surface here. There doesn't appear to be a lot of money in this budget for, and I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but we're not going up $39 on the average, and answering all of the issues that you raised, as salient as they may be. So they're the two questions that I'm laying before the board tonight. I'm sure the financial people have looked at the following year and 2 years out and 3 years out. I know it's not cut in stone. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for, well, the increase next year is going to be $85, etc. But what are the challenges that are there that we as a community, whether we show up or not, that are going to be faced with as we deal with our opportunities to move forward?
Tom, some of those challenges, health benefits, we're at a 2% cap and they're rising 10, 15% a year. That's a challenge for every school district across the state. Our buildings, although they're beautiful buildings, well kept, they're getting older. Roofs, HVAC systems are failing, so those are going to be big ticket items that this board is going to face. Again, with the changes in curriculum and unfunded mandates thrown in there as well, but I think those are the two big things: the health benefits and the buildings.
And Tom, the main budget drivers are healthcare, like Mr. Betts said. That's about 19% of the budget, and salaries around 63%. Okay, so those are the two main things. So if we just make the assumption that all the other 18% are operating expenses stay flat, okay, and healthcare goes up 10 to 15% a year, you saw 10.6 million. Just do the math in the back of your envelope, okay? 16% on 10 million is $1.6 million increase every year, okay? So that just eats up our tax increase on the cap every single year. So we've got to look at really hard at what we can do about that, going forward, okay, working with everybody in the building. Secondly, take a look at, so the other areas, we're taking a look at curriculum from the ground up, and obviously we said tonight we have technology, but instead of having technology for technology's sake, what we wanted to do is have curriculum take the lead. And we have Mrs. Butler over there driving the curriculum for the district, saying, okay, here's the curriculum, here's what the experience has to be for a child going from K through 12 in the district, and then redesign the curriculum around that so they get the experience they need going forward. Okay, and again, next year looking at 7th and 8th, and also the high school curriculum, and then also K through 6 going forward. So that's going to be the driver of cost in the future, making sure that we're valuing the experience and come up with the correct funding for that. But I'll tell you, the biggest cost driver is going to be health insurance, because it's the biggest unknown. Everything else we can pretty much budget for, but health insurance is the biggest unknown. Now,
And that's been
Making sure that the doors are better secured. Windows to put in certain doors so you can see who's outside when you pick up your children. All those are little things that can be found in the budget. What we're looking at is new vestibules, possibly from all schools, that would limit access and direct access into the offices. Those are very costly, and
we couldn't make a very big dent using the budget that we have and increasing it to do some security work. We couldn't make a very significant dent in the issues that we have, that we're studying, number one. Number two, we haven't decided amongst ourselves what all the right issues are that we need to address. We were talking today about additional professional development for staff, about security issues, and some other things like that. But we're not prepared, number one. Number two, we could never finance it by paying it on an annual basis and not financing it over 20 years, for instance, a bond referendum might do. So we wouldn't be spending that money very wisely.
So in summary, you're saying that the budget that you're presenting is really no different in terms of programs and offerings to the students and the staff than the previous budget. The difference is coming out of reserve.
Well, it's financial engineering in part, but yeah, I think it's fair to say that the two budgets from what was approved at our budget hearing presented at our county budget, preliminary budget hearing, presented at the public meeting, and now presented tonight, is not significantly different from a program standpoint.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't need a microphone. My name's Bridget Potts. I live at 123 South Garfield Avenue. I have 3 points. I'll be as brief as possible. It's been a lengthy night for all of us. I'll start with technology. I see on the agenda for tonight that you're finally, possibly going to approve a temporary part-time IT technician that at a point we were going to have 2 of them to support the current technology that we have that's not functioning properly, that doesn't have enough of an infrastructure to support it, so that we can integrate it and use it for our curriculum purposes. I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that it actually gets approved tonight, but quite disappointed that it's now a part-time temporary position. So I just want to put that out there. Since before Mr. Powell spoke at length, as did I in return, to our perspective on technology, how we do integrate it in our classroom, but that it's obviously important that it actually works, that we currently have a very limited amount of IT staff members that work as hard as humanly possible to make the equipment that we have in our classrooms function, from changing light bulbs to cleaning filters to making phones that can operate so that we can check voicemails, to much more in-depth issues than that, to email, space, etc. So the fact that now you're saying how much you value technology, yet you cannot even commit as a board to hire one additional staff member, recognizing how much we're lacking, Mr. Betts, how much we're lagging behind, yet we can't even commit. Maybe some of this surplus that we just threw back to the taxpayers, myself being one, to commit to paying this guy for a full-time position so he can get in here, so we can use this and not school dude and hope and pray that in a week and a half I finally get a printer and can print things out. So thank you for hearing all of our concerns and responding by giving a part-time IT guy for the next 3 months. So that's my opinion on that. Next is, I'd like to know, Ms. Sugars, where in this detailed budget this Director of Education Technology under administration, which is declining, salary is coming down by $146,000 under school administration. Business personnel salary is going down $45,000, and general administration salary is going down $55,000. I'm not sure where, because I'm not aware of any cuts in any of these positions. So is this Director of Education Technology a line item on the 13-14 budget?
Yes, it is on page 2 under improvement of instructional services in the salary line.
Improvement of instructional services. So it's, okay. So then can you help me understand how we're going down under like school administration salaries by 146,000.
Well, we had some changes in personnel this year. We've had, changes in principals and things of that nature, so that some of that's reflected in there. We've had changes in other areas of personnel, so it's just a restructuring.
Can you see how with financial engineering, Mr. Michelin, how that could be misleading to a layman that they're looking and going, oh, look, we're going to have this new director of ed technology, so I would think that's a cabinet position, as Mr. Betts said, so I would look under administration and wonder where in the world, how we're hiring someone, but yet we're going to save money by hiring someone, but then I had to realize it's embedded under improving instructional services.
Well, I couldn't put that position with the other supervisors.
Okay, but once again, I reiterate, we're going to hire this person for $100,000, because that's what it's budgeted for. But we can't hire someone to support this equipment. All this equipment we're going to buy with now a slim budget. We're going to have to buy all this equipment and hope and pray that we have enough infrastructure, that we're going to buy that too, and actually have people that support it when we keep telling you guys we don't have enough staff to support it.
And Ms. Cox, if I can just interrupt you for a quick moment. Obviously, we need a supervisory role in technology so we can help ascertain exactly what the needs are and do it on a consistent basis across the district. And that is why we are looking at an overarching position that will allow us that.
I'm not, whether we need that or not is not what I'm arguing. What I am arguing, and constantly will continue to fight for, is that the IT guy, staff members that we currently have are working their tails off, and we need more of them. If you want us to efficiently use this in our classrooms, you need to support that. Period. We're talking make it so that it can operate. There's not enough of them. We've belabored this. We've expressed our concerns. This is how the board's reacted, by hiring someone part-time temporarily. Fine, you're going to do it, and hopefully you approve it. I don't want to buy.
Putting it in the budget for next year, so we have the.
Oh, good. It'll be in the budget for next year, and it'll get cut again.
So let me, I gotta say, one way, and what we've talked about consistently, and you've been at meetings, we've had a discussion about this, is that there had to be a plan put together that laid out exactly what we were going to do with technology, because the issues that you raise are actually legitimate, and we don't want to put ourselves in that position again, where you put technology or pieces of hardware in classrooms, and there's no plan to use it, there's no plan to train on it, there's no cohesive strategy. What we've done is we've gone back, led by Ms. Butler, and we've identified all of the areas where we need to deliver different experiences for different children at each grade level. We've also then put together a staffing plan, which was in Mr. Betts' presentation, in terms of what we're adding to each of the buildings to make sure that we're adequately staffed there. We're adding this overarching position to manage this entire process, because it's only going to get bigger as we expand this beyond the current plan that you saw today as we budget into the next school year.
I'm not arguing this position. I'm arguing the fact that we have requested that the board at a point considered, it was requested the board to appoint 2 IT people. Then it was 1. Mr. O'Sullivan, this is the reality of it. Then it was 1. Then that 1 came, and you guys pulled it and didn't approve it. And now it's delayed. Then it's now tonight, part-time, temporarily for 3 months.
Right.
No one wants to sit here and listen to this any more than I want to talk about it. We've already said it. Next item. I was happy.
Excuse me, first of all, let me just mention something, okay? It's funny, Mrs. Anthony comes up and says she wants to have a discussion across the table, and then you come up with your body language and just, absolutely divisive manner, okay? I gotta tell you, I understand your role in IT. I understand you want to get, here's what you want, and you want your systems to work, okay? You want to walk in every day and have your computers working, and have the network work, and have everything working fine. That's what you want. That's what we're trying to get you, okay? Now, when we looked at all the information, we said, okay, what were the biggest problems we had in the district? Okay, we looked at the help desk tickets, which makes a lot of sense. Hey, what are the problems in the district? So we looked at them all. We laid them out. Literally 40 to 50% of them were in printers, okay, literally coming in and solving printing problems. Now, to me, that is absolutely no value added when we have 550 printers around the district, okay? So these guys are spinning wheels because all they're doing is fixing printers, okay? how is that helping my kid's education when there's a guy fixing a printer every 5 minutes? So we looked at the big picture and said, okay, that's the biggest issue in the district right now to solve at the help desk level. If we could get off that, if we can get that resolved for them, okay, going forward, by putting a solution in place, instead of just spinning wheels and throwing more people to fix printers, okay, that would make a lot more sense to spend our resources wisely. So that's what we looked at. We looked at going to a potential centralized printing plant throughout the district. Okay, it's not going to happen right away, but it will happen. So short term, we decided to get through this backlog of tickets that we have. We're going to bring some people in here to help us out, help us resolve the backlog, get it done. Now, at the end of the summer, if we realize that, hey, if we take these people to help at the first level help desk and we eliminated printing problems, okay, then they can actually start working on value-added problem solutions. So instead of coming in every day and solving printer problems, next level, they're solving projector problems. Okay, then we'll put a fix in place for that. We can solve that problem. Then we get them working on project management, okay, because that's really where the value add in IT is. Here's where I am right now. Here's where I want to be in a year or 6 months. I work on a project, okay, that's a real value added. That's where we want to spend our money as a district to get from point A to point B, okay? Not to put out perpetual fires. That's not what we're trying to do. So that's what our whole technology curriculum was around. So believe me, we want to work with everybody in this district and do things right, but I got to tell you, Mrs. Potts, when you come up, and,
Mr. O'Sullivan,
you know, and when you come up and talk to me like that in that mode, I mean, I'm a volunteer, and I spend hundreds of hours a year, as 9 of my board members, fellow board members do. And for you to come up here and talk to us in that tone is absolutely uncalled for, I got to tell you. It is not, it does nothing to foster relations between the Board of Ed and the MEA. It does nothing. So please,
well, Mr.
have some
O'Sullivan,
respect for us, and we'll have respect for you.
it's interesting you say that because I'm not up here representing the MEA. I pay taxes here also.
Good.
I'm a community member. I graduated from here, so I'm a past alumni. So you coming up here and immediately thinking that I'm representing the MEA is an error on your part too. And then
I kind of did too in this one instance, and I'm
Okay.
sorry for misinterpreting
No,
that.
no,
I think
that's
it was
fine.
the we and the instructional technology part
Well,
of it.
meaning
So,
that
but
we
I
have,
understand.
and when I'm here, I am expressing concerns, sure, as a staff member, sure, I happen to be a member of the Moorestown Education Association. I also do work here. I also do volunteer a lot of time here in this community. I'm also as equally committed as you and hope to one day be able to serve on the Board of Education. Unfortunately, I cannot, as I'm currently employed here. So I appreciate the commitment here, but you're not living the frustration that we are every day. And to be quite honest, this is a question of the dedication of the IT staff. I just hope that the Board of Education recognizes the commitment level that they have and that there just needs to be more manpower there in order for us to be efficient with the current items we have in our classroom so that they can fully be operational.
It
That's my point.
it sounds very frustrating and we do hear you.
Yeah, so it's disappointing. That's what it is. It's not
You had a
divisive.
third point.
It's disappointing. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
And we're trying
And
to
labeling it that doesn't really help the situation either. But my next issue is I thought it was, Tom bringing up this alternative revenue is something we've discussed. I think that at the time we paid to have some company come in. That does not mean the MEA. That means we, as taxpayers, paid to have a group come in and assess where we could bring in alternative revenue, correct? And they came back and made suggestions like solar panels on roof, renaming fields. I could be wrong. I mean, that's fine, because now I'm reading body language, so, Mr. Mishler, am I wrong? Was that a discussion at the time that we looked at whether solar panels and things like that could be put on the roof?
We did.
But that has nothing to do with,
Honestly, but we did. The problem came out that structurally, we couldn't put solar panels on our roofs without replacing the roofs. And
Okay.
you can't have somebody pay for the roof structure to be replaced without it coming out of your pocket.
Okay.
So it's.
but we didn't have to pay somebody to tell us that. I thought you were talking about the revenue generation issue.
We are talking about revenue generation, and my only point to this is I was happy to hear Tom bring up the fact that we, meaning all of us that live in this community and pay taxes here, are a group of very creative people that have a network of people that we can't expect anyone to knock on our, meaning school stores, and say, hey, I'd like to write know $25,000 may not sound like a lot, but quite frankly, it is a lot. That might pay a paraprofessional's salary for the year, which might make a difference in an individual student or a classroom, maybe not their benefits, but would definitely cover their salary, potentially 2 of them. So $25,000 is a lot of money. So I would just like to strongly encourage, even the community school, it may not have brought in a lot of money, but it brought in money. It wasn't on a budget item, it wasn't in parentheses, it was an increase in budget.
Unfortunately.
Well, by the end it wasn't.
That was a terrible shame.
It was sad, I was teaching in the community school.
By the end, but I mean, at a point, it was a successful
And
program.
it remains while it was.
Right, right. So I just think us looking at alternative revenue is just another area that I think, and I would gladly volunteer time to help solicit out to see if we can find and explore that area. I think we have a lot of people that are as equally committed as the 9 of you and myself, and those of us sitting out here at 10 o'clock at night, to see if we can do anything to bring in and say, hey, see that sign? That's why we have this now happening in our schools. So, thank you for your time.
And we would absolutely welcome that, so we really would. So if you
Create
want
the
to get
committee and
anything-
sign me up. I'm on thousands of committees, so.
First, so this $772,000 that miraculously appeared tonight, all of a sudden after we had March 5th budget review, March 12th budget review, which, for the record, there were only about 5 people each of these meetings because I was here, so there were not a lot of people coming out, contrary to when the question was asked, where do you get this information from? It's not from the people coming to these budget hearings. So, Don, as far as the meetings going along, I mean, that's relative to what the topic is, and there were not a lot of people at these 2 budgets. So, for those of us who were here at those 2 meetings, and now this 3rd one, I want to understand, did this money come from the fund balance thing? This is where this came from. Okay, so, and then Kevin, I believe you said that the state all of a sudden said we couldn't use this money and now we have to. So, did that happen yesterday that the state came down with this mandate, or what?
This is a requirement, as we were going through the budgeting process. In the past, what happened, let me just step back a little bit, the state actually changed their budgeting software this year. In the past, when we would look at what type of, how much fund balance we were going to put in the budget, we usually stuck pretty close to the excess surplus number. And the excess surplus number is a number that we get out of our audit every year. We go through our auditing process, and any fund balance we have that's above that 2% of the prior year expenditures level needs to be appropriated in the following year's budget. So going into this budget, we knew that we had about $1.7 million that we were going to have to appropriate. As we were going through the budgeting process, what we learned is that in the past where you could adjust some of those numbers, they're sticking to a straight 2%, took 2% of our expenditures and said, you can't have any more fund balance than this, you need to budget this amount of fund balance. So it was much more than we typically balance. It's a much higher number than we originally anticipated we were going to be using in our budget projections.
Right, but how did this change from March 5th to March 12th to now? Did the state just come out with this, or was it okay to do it on March 5th and then the 12th, but not now? Like, I don't understand how this change all of a sudden came about. How can you go from 1.61 to 0.46 in a day or 2, and then say, this is what I don't understand? Because my point is that this, because my next question is, what is the impact on next year's budget with this?
We're very concerned about that. We're very concerned about using this level of
But
fund balance.
why are you concerned about it?
Because we typically have not used this much, and we typically count on a certain amount every year to sort of keep things steady. And if we use this much this year, I am concerned about what will be available for next year.
But also, isn't next year's what amount you're able to even generate based on what your budget is this year?
Yes, as we go through our audit process and we close out our books at the end of the year, if we have additional revenues, more than we had anticipated, if we don't, we typically do not spend 100% of our budget. If there is something left at the end, all of that closes out into our fund balance number. On the flip side, if we don't get all the revenues that we anticipated, or if we do spend more than we anticipate, that has an effect as well.
Right, but you it's using fund balance, which anytime we talk about money, it's always money that either is not really there, can't be spent. Now all of a sudden it shows up. You have excess surplus. You have had it every year, or you could never have accumulated this much money to begin with that the state is now telling you have to spend. And then, if you don't have a decent or a normal type budget increase, percent increase, the next year, that's what your budget is based off of. So you're generating less money for a district which was finally admitted here that the enrollment is not going down, despite the great survey that was paid for by the taxpayers 4 years ago, for us to see that how it's going to be decreased. It hasn't decreased. They are building houses. Just as was stated, the economy is getting better. People are going to be moving in. They're going to be moving in with kids. So that's a fallacy. That's not happening. And here we are now, not only with this, and it may not have impacted programs, but the last time I checked, the role of the board was to fund a thorough and efficient education, not just for the year, but to actually have a foresight. To Debbie's point, which was not answered, where does this information come from that when you say to a parent, because, what I would understand is that come September 1, it's going to be, oh, well, we're not going to have the money, so we're subcontracting to Paris because, we gave you 1 year's notice and you're not going to be here. Not listening to all the people who came up and gave you the reasons and will continue to give you those reasons. That's just one example. So where are we going to make it up? So as far as revenue generation, I stood here in September and asked, what is going on? Now it's March. To date, nada. Okay? Nothing. So we read about Medford has signs on buses, 25,000 here, nothing. Nothing. I asked how much was the bill. You said $22,000. I said, is that continuous? You said, no, it's a one-time fee. So, and they still have done nothing. So somebody's sitting with $22,000 of taxpayers' money, and this group has nothing to show for it. There is no revenue generation, and nor has anyone even been asked about it. So on top of all that, never budgeting to cap, and administration going down, and Bridget pointed that out, that's, so you put supervisors in one category and central administration in another, and the state can tell you one thing, but that's just easy for you to say, oh, it's actually going down when supervisors are administrators, and they do belong in the same thing. And you choose to put one in another category to make it look like it's going down, and it's not. That's not accurate. And then, I want to address the printer issue. 550 printers includes printers in every office. They're not all, they include the printers in the central office. It includes the ones in all the main offices. They're not all available nor meant for student use. That's the first thing, they have printers. And secondly, how do they help my kid? Well, I'll tell you how they help your kid. They help your kid because when I have kids come into my room at the end of the day, 12th period, after madrigals, after whatever, before their sports practice, and they say to me, do you have any practice for me, Mr. Patty? I really would like it. Because if you do, I will take it home, I'll come back. That's on a daily basis, and that's not just me. So that's how printers help your kid. They help them on a daily basis. And I can't do that if I have 15 kids in my room and say, oh, wait a minute, let me run down the hall, around the corner, to see if what I just said, it's just not possible. That's the reality of what a printer in a room does. So again, to say, if I look at the printers, what they do for my kid, that's not accurate. And I don't think that the IT, and they don't, and Bridget didn't address this, they don't just put out printer fires. Just today, I had to have someone come to my room to help me do something that was instructional. There's nothing about my printer. That is not what they do. They actually help. And the point is that we have been saying that. No one has come ever to you and said, give me more, give me more, give me more of this. We have consistently said, we need the personnel to help us use what we have. So get a plan in, and we're still another year without the help that we need to use what we have. Because last time I checked, an administrator is not going to be, taking phone calls from staff members who have to wait a week and a half to get anything done. That's not the point of that role to begin with. And I think that the concept of what cost in the budget, a school is made up of personnel. In case anyone has forgotten, this does not say Moorestown Township Public Schools for-profit business. It is a public school. It is generated and sustained by live people. Of course, the majority of the budget is a people-designed industry. So, and it's not for profit. So if that's the point, it should not be run like a business. If anyone's interested, I actually did a term paper on that when I was in college. It is a failed model. Failed. Going back to the 1920s, when the industrial boom was happening and businesses started to get involved and we started to sponsor schools, they got away from it in 1920, just like they will get away from it again because it doesn't work. There is a lot of research on that, a lot of it. A school is not a business. It should not be run like a business. It is not based on how many widgets can I produce. And can they be better? Because if I don't like this widget, I can throw them away and I'll start again. Not one of us can do that with what's in our classroom. Because it's human capital. It's real people in front of us. And on the technology note, let me mention, do a little research on online courses and how they affect high school students. Find whatever you want. Everyone's turning away from it at the high school level because it doesn't work. High school students are not wired to do that. It's not effective and it doesn't work. So yes, the budget will be mostly people because we are people. And look at a business.